Welcome back to Break Free. I'm Kristen Shea, and today we're going to dive into identity, mission and purpose alignment, and visibility because these are three major themes that are affecting the collective right now. You probably have this calling, this deeper urge, this push to share your gifts, share your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, your story, whatever your magic is. You have this calling, this pull to share that with the world. You know you're meant to be doing something, to be helping the collective. You feel this calling. Yet it is so confusing. There's a confusion around who am I? Why am I here? How am I supposed to share this? Where do I get started? And why is it so terrifying to broadcast myself and my gifts to the world? And I have been working over the last year with hundreds of people to overcome the fear of being seen, to reclaim their identities, to broadcast their gifts. And it is part of my mission. And something I want to talk about today is how this mission developed and some of the teachings that I've learned throughout this process. So, on a much broader spiritual level, there is a form of spiritual warfare that is attacking our identities. Our identity is at the root of everything. Our identity is the key to exiting the karmic wheel. It's the key to breaking free from this matrix. It's the key to freeing ourselves, to being in this world, but not of it, and to tapping into abundance as our birthright, getting paid to exist, right? Like all of that is rooted in our identities. And there is a program called codependent consciousness. And this program is operating, it looks like a grid or a net over our planet. And what it is literally doing is distorting our identities, which is making it very hard for us to figure out who we are, to remember who we are at a soul level, to embody and embrace our gifts, and then to overcome the fear of being seen, the fear of being and broadcasting ourselves to the world. So if you are struggling with this, yes, some of it can be trauma from this lifetime. Some of it can be past life traumas. Some of it can be witch and persecution wounds. There can be so many things that are at play, but at its core, it is a spiritual warfare program that is making this as difficult as it is. If this was just about some past life trauma or just about some trauma in this lifetime, it wouldn't be so difficult for the majority of the collective to overcome. And here's the thing, the souls that are on this earth right now, these souls are magical, like the light workers, the star seeds, the change makers, the healers. Like you have magic within you and you are coded up like with all these different codes. You have knowledge and wisdom that you are carrying in from other lifetimes. You have spiritual gifts this world has yet to see. You have so much to offer. And then your experience here on this planet in this lifetime, what you've overcome, how you've traversed it, how you've navigated, all of that is meant to be shared with the world. And the souls that are on this earth right now are a huge part of the awakening. And that is why the dark devil, Satan, whoever is trying to distort our identities. So we can't step forward in who we are. We can't remember our gifts. We can't bring forward the things that are within our soul and are meant to be expressed in this lifetime. And that program is something that was revealed to me about a year and a half ago. And I want to go back into how that was revealed to me, how these teachings have come about, my understanding of them, and then share some of this information with you so you can start to allow this to kind of seep in your own conscious awareness and how this could be at play in your life, okay? So again, the root distortion is within our identities. And if you attack the identity, you essentially can keep someone stuck. And the dark, the devil, Satan, whoever, I'm just going to refer to it as the darkness, feeds off of lower vibrational emotions. And they do not want our planet to continue to awaken and to ascend. So this was the next obvious program when a large part of the collective started to awaken. And then when these really powerful souls came in, which is all right now. And so we are meant to break free of this program and we are meant to help others break free of this program. That's why break free is like the essence of everything that I do. Transformation, liberation, breaking free. So I want to take you back to how this was revealed to me. I talk a lot about identity because it is the root of this mission for me. It's the root of the fire that I walked through. Because anything that I teach, it's not regurgitated. It is from the fire that I walked through. It is from what I am channeling in. It is a co-creative process with the divine. So some of you may already know this, but a year and a half ago, December 2023, I walked away from a narcissistic dynamic. And this dynamic required me to hit a reset button on my life. In walking away, I essentially had to go no contact with almost all of my family. I had to leave behind friends and relationships and contacts, connections. I was also leaving behind a career and a business that I had been working so hard to build for the last, 5 to 7 years. And so in all of this, I was hitting reset, yet so confused on what I was meant to be doing, who I was, what the next step was. I just knew I had to leave this narcissistic program, this dynamic that was at play. And I kept getting guided by my guides to say, you can't create until you leave this behind. You can't step into a new life. You can't rebuild. You can't do anything until you walk away from this frequency. And so I had to trust that I could walk away from what was, not knowing where I was going, but that I would be provided for. So in this process, I hit that reset button. And there's this moment of time, it felt like liminal space where I'm in between two worlds. And I had at the time no safety net. So I didn't have like a backup plan. I wasn't walking into another job. I had no like savings to fall back on. I had a month's worth of finances to pay my bills. So that basically meant I had like 2 weeks to figure things out before I needed to be on my next journey of either starting another business, going and getting a job, something to survive financially. So I'm in this liminal space where everything within me wants to go into survival. I want to go and start immediately going and getting clients. I want to recreate something. I'm trying to rebuild my life, desperately grasping at straws and even clinging to my past identity in some ways. And yet my guides are saying, just stop, pause, trust that you will be taken care of, trust that you will be taken care of. And I'm like, I don't understand how that could happen. At this time, I'd been on a really deeply spiritual path. So, yes, I knew about manifestation. Yes, I knew about divine intervention. Like, I knew about these things and I had experienced some levels of it, but not to the extent that I did in this process. And so I was still just in so much fear. I had been on this healing journey for I don't even know. It feels like a lifetime, right? I had done ayahuasca many times. I had done combo. I was working with quantum healers. And all of this definitely helped. I was in a deeply spiritual healing path, and life was definitely getting better. But it came all to like that crashing head when I needed to leave this dynamic behind. And a few months before I left this dynamic, before I hit this reset button, my guides also said, no more working with healers. Like you need to put a pause on that. And that was terrifying to me as well. So I do that, but now I'm in this liminal space where I have no healers to work with. I don't have even financial resources at the time if I wanted to work with any healers. And I'm in this space where I have to totally surrender to the divine. And that was incredibly scary, but I did do it. And in this process, they kept saying, let it crumble, let it crumble. And what was happening was, as I walked away from this dynamic, it was becoming so apparent to me how codependent I had been my entire life. Of course, I knew to be involved in any type of a narcissistic situation, codependence has to be at play. I knew that, but I didn't realize the codependence that had been at play my entire life and how that had affected me. And so the best way to describe this is like, I felt like a shell of a person. I felt like everything I had been was a lie. It wasn't truly me. I wasn't living my soul. I wasn't living my soul self, my soul purpose, my path. I was like existing in these like societal matrix programs of what I thought I was supposed to do. And so in this moment, this is where I was led to let it crumble, let it crumble. So I'm letting it all crumble and I'm in this liminal space. I'm no longer who I was. I haven't really become who I am, and I'm in the process of becoming, and I'm not even understanding what it means to become who I am or how to even discover who I am. So, in this process, in this liminal space, I have nowhere else to turn except for to my guide. So, I'm spending a lot of time deep within, and my guides start to reveal to me that there is a codependent conscious program that's at play. And so, at this time, because narcissism and codependence is high on my awareness level because I'm becoming aware of my own reality, that's what I'm thinking they mean. So they're showing me there's this grid, this net over our planet, which is codependent consciousness, and it's distorting our identities and keeping people locked in this codependent program. Now, at the time, again, I've been on the spiritual healing journey for a long time. My spiritual gifts were online, but I hadn't really ever worked with them. I hadn't declared them. Like people knew I was spiritual, but they didn't know to the extent of my gifts. I hadn't shared them and I hadn't practiced them. I didn't have validation on them. Like, so as this information is coming in, I'm like, what does this all mean? Like, this is so confusing. And what am I supposed to do with this? And I keep being told, like, we're going to walk you through this process and then you're going to walk others through this process. Like, you're meant to share this. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, no way. I'm not sharing this. This sounds crazy. So I kind of ignore that part of it, but I'm trying to understand the information that's coming through. And again, codependence and narcissism is high in my awareness. So I'm like, oh, okay, we need to break codependence. So I start looking at it from that dynamic, right? And they're like, no, narcissism is a part of codependent consciousness. Narcissism at its root is a form of spiritual warfare. However, codependent consciousness is not because of narcissism. This is actually a separate thing. So yes, there's codependence that exists in those dynamics, but the codependent conscious program, the grid that's over our planet, is so much bigger than that. And it's all about distorting our identities. It's all about distorting and scrambling so we can't remember who we are on a soul level. So we fall into these karmic cycles and we can't escape and we stay in this matrix program, right? So I'm in this process where I'm like, okay, so I'm starting to understand that this program is so much bigger. I'm starting to understand that narcissism in and of itself is spiritual warfare. And I'm starting to learn about spiritual warfare because it wasn't something that I really knew that much about. Like, sure, I'd heard of it, or, you hear about black magic, you hear about these things, but I hadn't really experienced it or known about it, I thought. So I start to share this with one of my friends at the time who also had a lot of spiritual gifts. And I'm telling her this vision of how I'm being shown this net. And I think there's like this quantum entanglement between the narcissist and the codependent, which does exist on some level, but that's not what this episode is about. But I'm sharing this with her. And so she says to me, well, Jesus is the only authority that can clear spiritual warfare. And I was like, huh, hadn't heard that before. I didn't understand that. And to be quite honest, I had actually repelled Jesus like my whole life. I would talk to God and I believed in God. But the way I grew up, I had, parts of my family that were essentially like evangelical, parts of my family that were atheist, parts that just didn't participate in anything. And I just went down a deeply spiritual path. So I was manifesting and talking about the universe and source and spirit and all of these things, which are still fine, but I repelled Jesus in this process because I thought to walk with Jesus, I had to be religious, I had to be Christian, or, like I had to be worshiping in a certain way. So when she said that, I kind of like rejected that idea. But then the spiritual warfare got so bad that I finally gave in and I prayed to Jesus. And in that moment, it stopped immediately. And I had instant relief. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea the power of Jesus, right? And so in this moment, then I'm like, okay, Jesus, like, show me more. Like what, like just show me more. I kept just kind of saying, like, what else is here? What all is this? And when Jesus revealed himself to me, I realized he had been with me my entire life. I was just interpreting him as another guy, but Jesus had always been walking with me. I had not been walking with Jesus, but he had been walking with me. And he had been protecting me in so many ways. But he had been waiting for me to call upon him, to bring him in. And when I started to learn even more about spiritual warfare, I had been under attack my entire life. My entire life. There was so much spiritual warfare at play, and I just didn't realize it because I didn't really know what it was. And I definitely didn't know I had the authority in Jesus's name to like end it. So this is all a huge realization to me. And so now I'm almost like, oh my God, am I going to have to become Christian? Do I need to go to church? Like, how do I get to know Jesus? And Jesus was like, no, I've been with you your whole life. Like, this is how you get to know me. We walk together. You don't have to worship me in any particular way. And that's when I started to understand, like, Jesus doesn't care about anything about different religions or whatever. Jesus just wants us walking with Jesus because we are meant to. And then it was shown to me even more that, like, the division of religion or religion versus spirituality or like the new age, all of this is a form of division tactics, which are also a form of spiritual warfare. And Jesus was like, no, like everyone is meant to be walking with me. It was never meant to be like one path or the other. And I think we're all becoming more open to that as like Christ consciousness begins to unfold and the spiritual community is becoming more and more aware of it. And I definitely see more blending kind of across all of it. But the whole point of that is that we are all meant to be walking with Jesus. We don't have to be religious. We don't even have to be spiritual. We don't have to be anything. We're meant to be. He's already walking with us. He's waiting on us to like remember and walk with him. And I'm telling you, like, if you are experiencing any form of spiritual warfare, I get that you may be resistant, as was I, but when you bring Jesus back in, it ends, and you have this power and authority within Jesus's name that you've never had before. And so in this path, now I'm like walking with Jesus, and that's brand new for me. And so I'm kind of having to like undo those parts of my identity that had repelled Jesus for so long, repelled religion, and like really started to walk a different path, right? So again, I'm in this liminal space. Things are crumbling. My identity, my understandings of everything are crumbling. New information is coming in that I don't exactly know what to do with. And Jesus just keeps saying, like, keep walking with me. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you about all of this. So in these teachings, Jesus is now showing me this net, right? And he's walking me through the process of how so much of the planet started to awaken. So much of the planet started to return to Christ consciousness. And in that happening, the dark put this net of distortion over our planet. And all of us souls who have come here, we know about this net before we come here. Of course, we forget once we get here, but we have all come here to break this. And so that is a huge part of our purpose, is to become who we are, right? So your mission and your purpose, as it was explained to me, is actually different. Your purpose is to become yourself. Your purpose is to become your soul level self. Your mission is what you are here to walk and share with the world, and visibility is required in order to do that in the ways that we intended to. We are bringing so much from past lifetimes. We are bringing knowledge and wisdom, and there's so much cosmic coding and Christ. Like, there are so many things that we are bringing here with us that they're desperately needed. And so we can't stay in hiding anymore. And that is part of what this program is doing, is distorting our identities so that we never become who we are. So even if we have the ability to become visible, we never truly know who we are. So we're never really communicating the right message. Even if we have, our spiritual gifts and we're sharing them, we're never fully anchored into our soul level selves. So we're not really bringing all of our soul essence forward. And that is like the magic that our planet needs right now, because it's not just our gifts. It's not just our story. It's our magic, our frequency, us, the embodiment of our souls. And so Jesus is showing me how everyone started waking up. So the dark, cast this net. We all know it before we come down, but we don't know once we get here. We've forgotten everything, right? And all of the different division tactics to keep us from returning to Jesus, to walking with Jesus, to finding our soul selves. Like, all of this is so intertwined in so many ways. So again, now I'm starting to go from like, oh, this is about codependence and the narcissistic situation. There is still a quantum entanglement that exists there, that when you leave a narcissistic dynamic, you are detangling on a quantum level from that narcissist, as well as from the codependence, but that there is an actual program called codependent consciousness that is stopping our identities, that is a form of spiritual warfare that will affect all areas of our lives to keep us stuck in a karmic loop. But at this time, the teachings are being revealed to me. And through this process, Jesus is teaching me and showing me how to recover my identity, how to start to embody and embrace my spiritual gifts, and working with me to overcome the fear of being seen. Because again, at this point, I'm being told, like, you're walking through this fire and you're learning these messages and these teachings because you're meant to share it with the world. Like, when we have this, whether it's our gifts, our channel messages, like whatever it is that we're carrying, we're not meant to be hoarding it to ourselves. It is meant to be shared with the world. And at this time, I'm like, absolutely not. So in the midst of all of this, I get this guidance to start posting my channeled messages on TikTok. And I'm like, no freaking way. I do not want to do that. Like, I'm terrified of being seen. I'm terrified of broadcasting this level of spirituality out there. I've come from a corporate executive level, and I'm like, now they're going to think I'm like a TikTok psychic. Like, this is like, people already think I'm having a breakdown by walking away from this narcissism. Like, it was so hard for me to overcome that. But I was being shown so many things, like the spiritual warfare stopping. I was being shown how I was being provided for, even when I was in this unknown liminal space, in ways that didn't make sense. Like, everything was happening in a way where I was like, it would be wild for me not to trust this and to just share. So I start sharing my channeled messages on TikTok, okay? And at the time, I kept saying and like pleading with Jesus, like, can I start sharing them once I figure out my life? Like, can we figure out my identity and then I'll start sharing? That was not God's plan. And so I had to start sharing them. And as I started to share them, my spiritual gifts started to open even more. And then a few weeks later, I'm told, you need to start offering personal readings. And now I'm like, no way. Like, I'm not ready to do that. I've never even practiced my spiritual gifts. There are moments when I think I'm crazy because I'm sitting in my house alone talking to Jesus. Like, and now you want me broadcasting this out in a whole new way to the world? Like, there's absolutely no way I'm doing that. Now, for me, I'm very lucky in the sense that God has always made it incredibly clear when I'm on the right path and when I'm not on the right path, when I'm in God's will, when I'm in alignment, and when I'm not. And so, because I was avoiding doing the things that I was being guided to do, which was to offer personal readings, all of a sudden, all of my finances and my resources dried up. All of this magic that was happening kind of stopped for a moment. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I don't know why this matters. Nobody's going to book with me. I didn't have a following at the time. Like, if you want me to do it, I'll just post it. And I didn't expect anyone to book. Now, you can go and hear this whole entire story in episode one, how all of that went. But essentially, I start sharing that I'm offering personal readings. My finances start flowing again. The magic starts occurring again. I'm back in God's plan, like in God's will. And a few weeks into doing that, God is like, you need to do a group coaching program. And I'm like, I never felt ready to do any of this because again, I'm still in this space where I'm like learning all of this information, where I'm learning my spiritual gifts. I'm practicing them on people. Like it's all so new to me. And in this moment, this is when Jesus was like, yeah, but you're a vessel. Like you're putting way too much pressure on yourself. It's not your job to heal people. It's your job to be the vessel and share the message, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the gifts and the healing. It's your job just to share what we're giving you. And when I took that approach to it, I was like, oh, well, that's a lot easier than like it being my responsibility to create all of this. But then I was also like, well, I don't know how to coach people necessarily. And I mean, truth be told, I've been doing it my whole life. I just wasn't doing it as a career. But I was always like the problem solver, the person people came to like figure things out. And so I was already in this role. But then I was like, well, how am I going to teach people about their identity? And how am I going to teach people how to clear codependence and how to escape narcissism and all of these things? And it was always just like, allow yourself to be the vessel, just channel this through, and then you bring your experience into it. Because again, like our experience that we've lived in this lifetime is a part of our mission. There's a reason we have the experiences we do. There's a reason we go through what we go through. There's a reason we overcome what we do. It's because it's meant to be shared. It's part of the channeling that we get, right? It's part of the divine. So I, again, surrender. I start this program and I start walking people through, and I'm seeing like the massive changes that are happening for people. I am seeing like things that I didn't think would be possible in like 30 to 60 days happening, like in the same way it was in my life. And so I continue to follow this and I continue to receive all of these teachings. And as I'm going through, I'm being shown that this is like a modality, a method that I will be teaching, that each of us is meant to teach. We all have something we're here to teach. We are all guides, lighthouses, and all of us are meant to do that, but we can't do that if we can't figure out our identity. We can't do that if we can't get visible. Like there's so many aspects of it here. And so all of us came here to break this, right? Again, I just want to say like we remembered before we came down here that this program existed and we came here to clear it. So it is meant for all of us to embody our spiritual gifts, to embody our divinity, and then to share it with the world. It is very scary to claim that. I know for me, it was scary to claim, like, oh, I'm channeling a methodology and to help with this, or I have these messages to share with the world. Like, there was so much programming around that I had to overcome. But I have to remember that I'm a vessel, as are all of you. And so when we can't trust ourselves, we can always trust Jesus, God, source, spirit, the divine. Like, we can trust the knowledge, the wisdom, the messages, the teachings, and the gifts that we are receiving, because it's just a remembrance of who we are. So again, I'm going through this program, I'm teaching people, I'm seeing these changes happen in ways that are like mind blowing, in ways that like the human brain can't totally understand. And I'm understanding even more myself, the magic that's at play. And then more of this grid is getting revealed to me. More of this net is being revealed of all these different threads that need to be cleared in this process. So yes, some of this is like healing the wounds from this lifetime. Some of it is clearing past life wounds, the Akashic records. A large portion of this is clearing the spiritual warfare that's at play in so many ways. Like there's so many threads to this, and I'm being taught these throughout the program. So it's like, as I'm learning it, I'm then immediately teaching it, which was very uncomfortable for me because I'm a Virgo sun. I like to master things. I like to have it all down and know the ins and outs of everything before I share it. But that's not the plan. It's like you receive this teaching and then you put it out there. So I'm receiving these teachings, I'm sharing these teachings, I'm sharing my channeled messages, and all of this is in like my one-to-one sessions and my group coaching programs. But I still don't have like the bigger picture of how all of this fits together or what I'm supposed to do with it or how all of this will happen, right? And I'm still kind of approaching this from this place of like, okay, well, if I'm here to end this codependent consciousness as part of my mission, I am relating that to narcissism, even though I understand there's a bigger picture. My personal story was rooted in that narcissism. So that's what I'm looking at. And so I'm looking at it from this perspective. But Jesus just keeps giving me all of these teachings, like how to heal the wound of being unchosen, how to escape the validation program. Like one big thing I focus on in all of my programs, whether it's overcoming the fear of being seen, identity, codependence, because they're all kind of enmeshed together. But like one of the biggest things is clearing the program of needing validation because we cannot be fully sovereign in this world if we are needing validation outside of ourselves. And so I'm being taught all of these things, right? And at the same time, I'm clearing it in myself and then I'm sharing the teaching to clear it in other people. I'm learning how to clear spiritual warfare again, barely even understanding that had ever existed, understanding, whoa, it's actually been at play my whole life. How do I take care of it? I'm learning all the different levels in the spiritual world of how to clear this. It was just a super fast-tracked learning process, right? And I'm starting to put this puzzle together. But I feel like I have like three puzzle pieces of a 10,000 piece puzzle that I'm trying to fit in. And so I'm just kind of in this, again, liminal space of really having no idea where I'm going, just trying to follow like one step at a time. And of course, my Virgo sun is like, I want to, I want a 10-year plan and a plan A, B, C, D in case things go wrong. But I'm having to like really surrender in a whole new way. But again, the surrender, the unknown, as I learned through this process is where the magic happens. That's when like divinity can intervene in ways that like they're miracles. It's miracles. So the main thing to understand today is that your soul level identity is like the key to a lock, to a gate of who you truly are, to escaping the matrix, to breaking free of the karmic wheel, which also means all of the cycles that have been at play in your life, to reaching your birthright of abundance, to creating and entering into that frequency of heaven on earth. That is your identity is the key to all of that. And in your identity is your purpose, which is to become yourself, and your mission, and then to broadcast it to the world. And so those are the things that I am focused on teaching right now that has been placed upon my heart to share. And if you are in these programs, you are if you're watching this, but these are some of the things that you might relate to. You have this like what feels like an unknown or an unseen force that's working against you in some way. Like more of a, it's a feeling. It's not something tangible. Like you can't ever really get ahead, or you can only get so far, or, two steps forward, five steps backward. Like you feel like there's just this unforeseen or unseen force working against you. You also have this nagging feeling that there's something more. And whether you're on the spiritual path, a religious path, like whatever path you're on, you still feel like there's something more. You don't really know what. You might have a little bit of an idea, but it definitely feels like kind of what I said earlier, where you have like a couple of puzzle pieces, but you have, a 10,000 piece puzzle and you don't know how to put all of this together. You are drawn to or have spiritual gifts and you want to help people. So even if you haven't fully like opened or honed your spiritual gifts, you're drawn to them. Like I remember I used to watch like all kinds of readings for hours. I would always want to learn about like quantum healing. I'd want to understand it. And like I never actually took programs or learned anything. My guides would actually never let me. If I ever tried to like get a certification, my guides were like, no. For me, my path is remembrance. I'm not supposed to learn from anyone. Like my teaching comes from Jesus, and then it's like the remembrance of everything. I'm not allowed to get certified or like go take courses. Like my guides always are like, no, that's not for you. That doesn't mean that's for everybody. Everyone has a different path here. For me, that's mine. But I was always drawn to the spiritual world. I was always like, if I saw someone channeling, I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool. I wonder how they do that. Like, I was always really drawn to it. So whether you have your gifts or you're really drawn to them, there's a reason. But no matter what, you have this feeling that you're here to help people. Life has probably been pretty karmic for you on some capacity. Like maybe you've had a karmic family, maybe you've had chronic health issues. I see chronic health issues and autoimmune a lot in this area. I myself had to heal Lyme and other autoimmune issues. So like that heavily affects this collective. Maybe you've even had some narcissism on your path, right? Like people, I find those who have really big missions are often plagued with a narcissist that tried to keep them small, stuck, silent, quiet, dim their light. That doesn't mean if you weren't affected by a narcissist that you don't have a big mission. It's just something I've seen a pattern of those and not even to say that one mission is bigger than someone else's mission, but the level of visibility and impact that you are meant to have. Like your mission could be to be a parent in this lifetime. Maybe you are like correcting like parental codes within your lineage, and like maybe your children are like there's a reason were given to them essentially, and that they came into this world with you is because you're helping them with something. Like that could be your mission, but your mission could also be to share your knowledge, wisdom, and gifts. Like it's also different, but I do find those that are meant to be highly visible are often intertwined in some type of a narcissistic dynamic to try to keep them stuck. You have a deep pulling that you're meant to be seen or heard. You have something that you know you're supposed to share, right? So this could be like your story, your experience, your gifts, your voice, your music, your art, like whatever it is, you know there's something. There's this call. You know you're meant to be seen, but you are terrified of it and you are avoiding it in all capacities, probably even in your personal life. So it's probably hard for you to speak up and set boundaries. It might be hard for you to speak up like in workrooms in so many ways, like your throat chakra is heavily, heavily affected. Another way you may relate to this is you're often the caretaker, the problem solver, the go-to person for everyone, the one who holds it all together. This is often a role that I see these souls are playing right now. And part of that is because you are so much more capable in a lot of ways than a lot of people because you're a very advanced soul. But the other part of that is because, and I don't say you're advanced in like a hierarchical way, it's just you have a different level of experience that you're bringing into this realm. But the other part of that is when you are the caretaker, when you are the provider, the go-to person, the problem solver, it keeps you really busy. So it distorts the opportunity of you figuring out who you are or having enough time and space to even allow your mind to wander that way. You might identify as a generational curse breaker, as like the ancestral curse breaker. Like you're the one doing the heavy lifting in your family, right? You're doing the heavy lifting, healing work. You probably have spiritual gifts, but you doubt them. You are often saying to yourself, I will do XYZ when XYZ happens. So I'll share my story. I'll share my gifts once my life is fully together. I'll share my story once I'm financially more stable. I will share my story once XYZ. Like you can put anything into that XYZ. I'll share my gifts. I'll share my knowledge. I'll share my music. There's always going to be a reason why you can't share right in this moment. You're always going to be putting roadblocks up. And every time you go to take a step forward in any way in your purpose, something comes up or stops you. And I see this in a lot of different ways. I often see that family members can all of a sudden come down with illnesses or perceived illnesses. I will see that someone like within the family structure or something will have something happen that requires you to step forward. So maybe they lose their job or they get an illness or something happens that makes it like, oh, my attention has to go there instead of where I want it to go. So these are all the ways that I see this program affecting people that you might start to relate to. So some of the things that I've learned on this path is Jesus does not care about religion. I know I already said that, but like he cares that you accept him and you walk with him. He doesn't care. Like walk with God, walk with Jesus. He does not hesitate to share anything with you because of your religion or lack thereof or your spiritual beliefs or like he literally doesn't care about all of that. He just wants you to walk with him. He sees everything else as a form of a division tactic. Like he sees that it's the dark trying to divide and conquer. So no matter what your path is, you can walk with Jesus. And this is actually something I was super hesitant to share because everything that I've been sharing and teaching in my programs for like the last year have all been part of the teachings I received from Jesus. I didn't come out and say that. I, channeled and all of those things, but Jesus was like, you can't like do this in hiding anymore. There's enough people who walk with me, but do it secretly. Like you need to be doing it loudly because there needs to be a path for everyone to come back together. So as we see more of this on the spiritual path, returning to Jesus, returning to Christ consciousness, returning to God, like this is the time capsule that we're in right now where we are meant to. And so we can't do it in hiding. Jesus has enough people walking with him in hiding. Like we need to be doing it loudly and creating that path for others. And we also need to be just living what's authentic to ourselves, right? And as we do that, we give ourselves permission to be even more of ourselves, but then we're also giving other people permission to start to think about their identity, which starts to stir, and then that starts to like or deconstruct the program, the conscious program, right? I've also never had the full picture and I still don't. Like my mission is ever evolving. And so if at any time you think you have the full picture of this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it, you're operating out of ego. It's very rare the full picture is revealed to us, especially in like the beginning stages, right? It envelopes as fast as we can align to it, which all comes from identity at the root of everything. But it also comes from our comfort of the unknown. And as I said earlier, like the unknown is the place where the magic happens. The unknown is where things like returning to Jesus come. The unknown is where the unknown is the unraveling of everything we know, which is the whole point of this. Because what we know is the conscious program, and we have to be in a place where we can allow that to unravel, which can only happen in the unknown. So embrace the unknown. I know it's scary, but when you can start to reframe that and say, like, the unknown is where miracles happen. Like, if I want a miracle in my life, I have to walk into the unknown. I have to be willing to venture into that and surrender to the process. And that's when miracles can take place. This is like this path, again, I think I said this earlier. I didn't realize the level of miracle and divine intervention that was possible until I walked this path. And I had seen manifestations, I'd seen manifestations come true. Like this is a whole different level. And manifestation is also a whole different topic that I am going to do a whole other episode on because I believe in manifestation, but I was also shown and it was revealed to me that the way the new age has taken manifestation is actually like a demonic entity has overtaken what manifestation is actually supposed to be versus what the new age has taken it. And I'm not saying new age is like anything is bad. Again, it's as long as we're walking with Jesus, it doesn't matter. And I would have considered myself to have been on a new age path prior to reconnecting with Jesus. Now I'm not on any path. I'm just walking with Jesus. Like I don't identify as new age or religious or anything. I'm just me and I walk with Jesus. Okay. You cannot rush the process. This is a really, really deep deprogramming, and it will take everyone a different amount of time. So I moved through this process very quickly because I don't even want to say I was able to surrender. I was kind of forced to surrender based on my circumstances. So everything happened in a very divine way. So I could move through it very quickly and then teach it very quickly because, again, I just had to be the vessel. Um, to anchor in his teachings and to then share them. Like it wasn't, I didn't have to figure things out, even though that's what I wanted to do. I just had to allow things to happen. So this process, though, when I'm working with clients, I've seen it take 30 days. I've seen it take 9 months. I've seen it take, I have a couple of clients where we're like at a year. It's like everybody's at a different process, depending on how much you're able to surrender, how much you're able to go into the unknown, how deep you're willing to go in and deprogram yourself, right? So there's no right way to do this. It's just allowing the deprogramming to happen without rushing it because you can rush to visibility. You can rush. You can go share your spiritual gifts. And I'm not even saying you shouldn't. Like if you feel called to do that, go do that. I think everyone should share everything because we all have to overcome the fear of visibility, right? But you can do all of that and not be walking your true path because you haven't rooted into your identity. You can do all of that and not get the results that you want. I see a lot of people post and they spend so much time posting and they never get the results that they want, which is to grow, a community or start a business or whatever it is, because they don't know who they are. So the frequency they're putting out into the world is a very confusing frequency. So when people come across and they're scrolling, they don't stop. What stops the scroll is your frequency, which is rooted in your identity. So that's why it's important. And you want to make sure you're calling in your soul family, not just anybody, right? This path will require you to move before you're ready. So I've never been ready for any of the things that I was being asked to do. I was never ready to post my channeled messages. I wasn't really even really ready to leap into the unknown without a backup plan. Wasn't ready to do personal readings. I wasn't ready to talk about things like there was so much, I never felt ready, but I had to just allow myself to keep going. I had to allow myself to just say like, I'm not ready, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because the truth is I probably never would be ready. I probably would still be operating in some form of fear, right? But when you understand it's not about you and it's about allowing yourself to be the vessel for what is channeling through you, it takes a lot of that pressure off of having to be ready because it's not your job to figure things out, just your job to deliver as it comes through. Things will happen in ways you didn't expect. So my spiritual gifts, like again, I had a lot of them before I started this journey, but a lot of them opened in this journey. So I was like mid-group session the first time I ever live channeled. Because I would always channel and then record. I didn't like I didn't like hop on camera and then start channeling. I would always like channel the message and then share it. And I'd kind of add to it if things came up in the moment. But I was on a group call about sharing your voice, and all of a sudden the live channel just came through, and I just let it go. Another session, I was working one-to-one with someone, and it was the first time I ever accessed the Akashic records. I had never even seen them, didn't know what they were. I had been wanting to. I had even looked at taking a course, and my guides were like, no. And then just mid-session, all of a sudden, I was in the Akashic records, and I knew exactly how to navigate, how to read, how to clear. Like, again, it was a remembrance. So things will happen in ways that you don't expect them to. Um, it's this whole process is remembering who you are. So it's leaving space for that remembrance. And when things come on line, not letting the ego crush them or doubt them. Visibility and authentic visibility are two different things, okay? So it's not just about hitting the post button. It's not just about publishing the book. It's about remembering who you are, becoming you, and expressing it to the world. I gave the example earlier of how I see people post and post and post. I've also seen and not get results. I've also seen people build platforms with millions of followers, and yet they are stuck in a cycle that is not them. They're terrified to be seen in the real world. They have to keep up a facade. They've like I've seen it in so many, this last year of working with people at every different level, I've seen it in so many ways. So, like, visibility and authentic visibility are two different things, but allow yourself to evolve through your visibility. Like, if you were to look at my evolution is so different. I'm a different person today than I was when I started this journey a year ago. I'm sharing different spiritual gifts than I started this journey a year ago. I allow myself to evolve out loud in front of all of you versus thinking I have to have it all together before I share. So, what's authentic to me today might be different than what's authentic to me in a month because I'm changing and evolving. I'm just doing that out loud, but I'm being my authentic self and what's true to me in the moment um, before I'm ready. And then the other thing is that spiritual warfare can also feel positive. So I like to talk about this example because I think it can be a bit of a trap in the visibility journey. Everybody always wants to go viral. Like if you log on to TikTok at any given time, you're going to get at least one video that's like how to go viral and you want to engage from the bottom up and da da da, like all these things. And it's like, first of all, I think that's happening because the whole like will TikTok sell type thing. I think they want people going crazy on engagement. So they want you hitting every single video from the bottom up. They want to show how much engagement is on their app to like, skyrocket their valuation. But on the other side of that, like it's not about hacking the algorithm by pressing buttons. When you are your authentic frequency, you override the algorithm. When you embody your authentic frequency, you override the algorithm. But I see people get caught up in this trap of wanting to go viral. And here's the thing, like if you go viral, you got to understand the full picture. One, you're going viral for that one video. The people who follow you from that video are expecting the same thing. So was the video that you created authentic to what you're doing and to your mission and what you're here to share? If it's not, you're not attracting the right people. If the other part is if you're focused on going viral, but you don't necessarily have something to offer or share with the world yet, and you're just kind of out there, which I still think is great, a lot of those people will never see your profile again, even if they follow you. Like, do you know how many times I go and I look at the people I'm following? I'm like, I don't think I've seen that person in 6 months. They're posting content, but they haven't shown up in my feed. So that moment when you first enter somebody's awareness is the moment where they then go click on the link in your bio and they're like, oh, this person's offering their spiritual gifts. I want to book with them, or this person's a coach or a healer or whatever. I want to learn more about their story. Like, that's when they do that. It doesn't always come up like months or weeks later, right? So, there's that aspect. And then there's, again, if you're sharing from authenticity and you're going through the teachings, right? Like I talked earlier about validation. If you're going through that, you're not worried about going viral. You're worried about being authentic because wanting virality is validation. You're wanting someone to tell you what you're doing is okay. And like on a human level, going viral feels amazing, right? It's exciting and it feels like, you want to celebrate it and you can. I'm not saying you can't, but when that is your intent, you're no longer operating from your authentic self because if you were in authenticity, you want to be you regardless. You want to be you, whether or not somebody on the other side receives that. So, this is also a question I always ask people when I'm working with them. If you say the thing you want to say and it's met with silence, are you okay with that? If you say the thing you want to say and it's met with criticism or rejection. Are you okay with that? Like if you're not, then you're still not rooted in your authentic identity. And I get it. It doesn't feel good. I don't like when I get bad comments. I don't like when, and I actually have a belief system that I'm unavailable for bad comments. I'm unavailable to be unappreciated. And so because that's my belief, my experience is usually very good. But like I'm still a human. It doesn't feel good to get bad things or to have people not like you or not like what you're saying. Like that doesn't feel good. But it is so important for me to be authentic and say the thing I want to say that I don't care what happens on the other side of it. I have to be rooted in saying the thing I want to say. And if it's loved, amazing. If it's not, that's still okay because it's not about that. So that's why I was talking earlier about the importance of like validation. Validation is part of the reason we're stuck in this codependent conscious program because we are so afraid of being told by something outside of ourselves that we are okay, that it is okay to be us. And the second we put that validation outside of ourselves, it's a very dangerous place to be. That's again how we get caught in narcissistic dynamics. It's how we stay stuck in this karmic cycle. Validation is like one of the big roots in our identity. And so we have to remove that and bring that within ourselves so that no matter what we share, how we share it, no matter what the reaction is on the other side, we are okay with it because it's authentic to ourselves. So this is something I like to share because I get a lot of people who want to go viral, and I get that. I wanted to too in the beginning. Like at first I was terrified of being seen, but then once I overcame it, I was like, I want to go viral. And then the first time I went viral, I was like, I want to do that again. That feels great. Like how cool, how fun. But it's actually a trap. So allow your authentic frequency to override the algorithm and you will go viral. But when you create with the intent to go viral, you leave your authenticity. And then you're out of alignment with your path, with God's will. And it's just a messy slope to be on. So authenticity should be at the root of everything that you're doing, right? So those are some things that I've learned along the path. I wanted to capture just some of the teachings from my coaching programs and from like how I share information with clients and share that here. I'm going to be peeling back like way more layers. If you do want to dive deeper, I have a program. It's called Break Free and Be Seen, where it literally encapsulates all of these teachings that I've had over the last year and a half to help you become who you are on a soul level, to help you discover why you're here, align with your mission, and to help broadcast it to the world. And again, in a way where it is rooted in authentic identity, because that's how you exit the matrix, how you get off that karmic wheel, birthright as your abundance, like all the good things, heaven on earth frequency. And if you want that, you can click on the link down below in the description. You can always book a one-to-one visibility session with me, or if you just want to do a healing session and like see what spiritual warfare could be at play, you can book one of those sessions as well. There are so many different ways to work with me, but either way, follow along. I'm going to be sharing so much information here on this podcast, or you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. But I'm sending you all a lot of love, and I am sending prayers up that all of us find the most authentic version of ourselves and that we continue to discover who we are on a soul level, to allow ourselves the opportunity to evolve in front of the world. And to be who we are today and allow that process to continue to unfold so that we can live the lives that we came here to live, to share what we brought into this world to help ascend this planet. So I'm sending you all a lot of love, and I'll see you next time.